everybody, how you doing? Welcome to episode number 69 of the John Riley Project. I have with me today really an incredible young man, a San Diego sports fan, a super fan, David Leland. How are you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
All right. Welcome to the John Riley Project. You know, we know each other through Poway Sports. We've seen each other here and there. We follow each other on social media. I know you're really active in sports and following the Padres right there. So I heard you were at the game last night. How'd that go?
I was. It was fun to go with a friend who is here from Colorado just for a week. So it was fun to catch up with him. Not a great game to go to, though. And I'm saying that when we got out of there before the worst part, like we left after the seventh inning when it was 6-2 because it's kind of a long game. My friend was tired, and then Tampa Bay blew it open after we left. So we got out of there at the right time.
Yeah, you did. I think it was the seventh inning. It was Trey Wingeter blew up, and then Edwards Jr. blew up, and then Ian Kinsler pitched the ninth last night.
Yeah.
So it was unbelievable. But yeah, before we kind of get more into some of the sports, I just want to learn a little bit about you. You know, you growing up here in Poway, kind of tell me a little bit about your backstory and what brought you here.
Well, I mean, I'm 21 years old. I've lived here in Poway my whole life. So San Diego native, San Diego sports fan. I grew up, with San Diego, and when I got into sports, anything that had San Diego in front of it, I'm like, hey, that's my hometown, so I'm going to root for it.
Right on.
And that's why I'm here today.
Well, you're wearing the Padre gear, and I know,
of course,
on social media, you're always talking Padres. Well, you've talked Chargers in the past, and now you have a whole other take on the Chargers. We'll get into that. But let's just talk about the Padres right now. How do you think the season's going so far? I
mean, you can say, well, I don't know, I think it's 8 games better than last year at this point. What were we, 47 and 72 at this point, and now we're, 55 and 63, I think it is? I mean,
yeah, about 8 games under, roughly, yeah.
So you can say, oh, you're 7 or 8 wins better than last year. I mean, if, we didn't add all this talent that we added, I'd be like, okay, we're improving. But, I mean, we added Fernando Tatis Jr., we added Manny Machado, we added Chris Paddock to this roster. I mean, I feel like we should have improved a little more, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, there's been so many crazy things that have happened this season and things that seem to be such nonsense, But a lot of people are blaming Andy Green for some of the downturn of the team. And what do you think about that?
I think Andy Green's probably the biggest reason for the downturn of this team. I mean, I know, the bullpen shorthanded, it's been unfortunate, just injury after injury for Jose Castillo, and we only got 2/3 of an inning.
Yeah, what the hell happened? He was on the disabled list, or the injured list, pardon me, for what? The whole season, and he comes back to pitch, 1 inning, and then he messed up a tendon in his finger.
It's just unbelievable. The guy had the worst run of luck all year. There were starts and stops coming back from the flexor strain in his elbow, and then he finally gets over that, finally gets back on the mound for us, and then he hurts his finger his first inning back. It was really just unbelievable, and really good guy. He actually follows one of my Instagram pages.
Oh, cool.
Really good guy, and he worked his butt off to get back, and he was a key part of why our bullpen was good last year, and we didn't have him, and there were so many games where, a big lefty got a hit, the game against Atlanta a couple weeks ago. Freeman hit the 2-out 3-run homer to break a 0-0 tie. There's just so many times where I think Conforto got a hit that game we blew against the Mets here in May. Yeah. It's just so many times we were man, if only we had Jose Castillo, we could have gone through that inning and won that game.
Yeah. Well, I know they were really counting on him this year. And then was it the last week of spring training or the first week of the season is when he got hurt, right?
No, it was actually in the first week of spring training, right before they started spring training games.
In February, maybe.
Yeah, throwing a bullpen.
Oh, man. Yeah, talk about the San Diego sports curse.
I know.
It's just another example of it. Let's talk about Andy Green. You think he's responsible for a big downturn?
Oh, I absolutely think he's responsible. And the reason I say this, there's a couple reasons. Because I understand, Chris Paddock has an innings limit, first full season removed from Tommy John. He's the future of your rotation along with Mackenzie, Gore. So I understand having a limit on him. I understand Strom's hasn't always been a starter, so when he was in there, he couldn't exactly go 9 innings or be like a Justin Verlander and throw 110 pitches. But, Lauer and Lucchesi, those guys don't have limits. I understand they're not the greatest third time through the order, especially Lucchesi, but you got to let these guys go so you don't burn the bullpen day after day after day. And I just think his bullpen management is extremely piss poor. I I said this last week that I've seen a lot of bad coaches here in San Diego sports, and I think he manages a clock. Manages a bullpen worse than Mike McCoy managed a game clock, and I didn't think that was possible.
Mike McCoy, don't bring that one up.
Like a couple weeks ago, the Baltimore series, Strom gives up those runs to tie the game, and he brings him out for the next inning, and his excuse is, well, we got other guys that weren't available. It's like, you got an off day tomorrow, and you blew him out the day before. What are you doing? How can you manage a bullpen that badly?
Right.
And I think so many times he's just put guys in just the worst situations. I mean, I understand it's not the greatest relievers out there, but he does stuff that makes no sense. Like the last game against the Mets, like he burned Morejon and Baez after we were down 4-0 against DeGrom in the first inning. And like, that game's over. Just have somebody else eat the innings so that you can have Morejon and Baez for the next game.
Right.
And then we lose an extra innings to San Francisco because we had to pitch Logan Allen in the 11th inning because he burned those guys the previous day when we'd already lost. It's like, he doesn't understand to manage for the future, not just one game. He manages every game like it's Game 7 of the World Series.
It's interesting. I've heard a different perspective on that, because sometimes it seems like he will leave some of those young guys in too long. So is he giving them an opportunity to grow through it, to kind of have that sense of adversity and how they're going to overcome it, or? What do you think about that?
I mean, he's inconsistent about it. Like, sometimes he just yanks them, but then he tried to let Lucchesi get through that game against the Dodgers in L.A. In the 6th inning, and then he let Paddock, get the last out of the 6th when he was already at 90 pitches against St. Louis back in the end of June. So sometimes it feels like he is, then other times it's not. There's just no consistency there.
Yeah. Well, what do you think Balsley must be? Balsley's got to be talking to him, right, about who to use, and he must be recommending certain pitchers for certain situations. So what the heck? What's going on?
I mean, the reason I'm not going to put this on Balsley is because I think Andy Green's a little bit, kind of arrogant in the sense that he thinks that he knows what he's doing and he's going to go my way and try and do it my way. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can just see in his press conferences, he talks like he knows everything that he's talking about. Like, he'll say stuff like, oh, well, that's the matchup we want. It just didn't work out. He says that all the time, and that just really bothers me. But it's not just the bullpen management with Andy Green that gets me. I think a lot of this team, I mean, Manny Machado hits with runners in scoring position. Eric Hosmer's phenomenal with runners in scoring position. Mm-hmm. Fernando Tatis will hit with guys on base. But the rest of the team, they don't hit with guys on base. And you can say, well, why is that on the manager? And here's why I say this. I mean, the approach of the team, they're just up there for the most part, trying to launch home runs like every time, regardless of the situation. And it's like, That's great. Bottom of the first inning, 2 outs, nobody on base, try and launch one. I'm fine with that. There's a runner on first, 2 outs, we're down 3 in the middle innings. Okay, get us within a run, but there's times where you just got to string hits together. And I think the hitting approach of the team is just kind of broken in a sense. And the reason I don't put this on the hitting coach is because we had Alan Zinner with Andy Green the first 2 years. Mm-hmm. Then we had Matt Stairs last year. Then we had it's Johnny Washington this year.
Right.
And under all those hitting coaches, we're doing the same thing at the plate. It's like, that's why I think it's Green's approach, because, he's a super analytical guy, like no feel for the game, just looks at his computer and says that's it. And the computer tells you to launch the ball every time. And so I think that's Green's approach that he wants the team to have. And then the fundamentals, once again, this is the thing. He only looks at his computer and doesn't grill fundamentals in the team. Like, they make the stupidest decisions on the base pass. It really bothers me.
It's awful. There was, especially the first half of the year.
Yeah.
There were so many base running blunders. It was crazy.
Like
Ian Kinsler especially.
Oh, don't even get me started on Kinsler. Anyways, like the game against San Francisco a couple weeks ago here, Naylor hits a fly ball to left field. We're down, I believe it was 10-1 at the time, or 10-2, something. We were getting blown out either way. And Renfroe tries to tag second to third on a fly ball to left field, down 7. He gets thrown out, and I'm just like, what are you doing? And it's like, there's no discipline or repercussions for when these guys do this. They're never told, like, hey, don't do that again. Make sure you know what you're doing out there. It's just, the computer says this, and that's it. Mm-hmm. And they got talented defensive players on this team, and they still make the stupidest errors. And another thing that really bothers me is that when we hired Andy Green, he was supposed to be this super analytical guy, like always putting people in the right position with defensive shifting and all that. And I saw a stat back in June, and I'm sure it's not any better since then because, Andy Green's arrogant. He doesn't adjust. There was a stat where it was like -6 or something like this in terms of runs saved via the shift and positioning. And that sounds so small because it's like, oh, it's 6 runs. I mean, but the number one team was the Dodgers, and they were at like 40 runs saved at the time. So you look at it and think, oh, it's just 6 runs. That's not a big deal. But then you see that the top team is saving 40 runs while we were losing 6 at the time. And you're like,
that's a big difference. That's
a huge difference.
46 run swing right there.
I mean, that's what, 5-6 wins right there?
Yeah.
And I mean, what are we, 7 out of the second wild card now?
So what is he doing? Is he just positioning them in the shift in the wrong positions, the wrong locations?
Exactly. That's exactly how I feel. Like, there's so many balls where, like, I'm like, how does that get through? We got Machado and Tatis over there. How does that ball get through? And then it's just like they're nowhere near it. And on one of my Instagram posts, somebody commented on one of Tatis's plays. That's a nice play, but why do you have to go all that way? He was way out of position. I replied, well, Andy Green's the one who positions them.
You see them, I like when they're out in the field, like they have that card that they keep in their back pocket.
Yeah.
And I guess for every batter, they know where to be positioned, right?
Yeah.
And
well, they're supposed to know, but apparently Green doesn't because the numbers as of June, and I'm sure they're not any better since, show that he doesn't know. But yeah, they're supposed to know, like you said.
Do you think he's going to get fired at the end of the year?
Barring some kind of like 1995 Mariners, 2011 Cardinals kind of run, I do think he's getting fired.
And they just extended him, didn't they? Isn't he going to be on contract through like 2021 or something like that?
Yeah, but that extension was 2 years ago, and a lot changes in 2 years, especially in a results-based business like baseball. And he's not getting the results. I mean, the National League is extremely weak this year, and he's not even close to the second wild card. And he's got Fernando Tatis Jr., he's got Manny Machado, he's got Chris Paddock, Eric Hosmer, Kirby Yates, and a bunch of top prospects on his team, and he's not even close to the second wild card in a league that's been really weak. I mean, what is St. Louis? 4 or 5 games over 500, and they're the second wild card right now?
Yeah, that's about right.
And St. Louis is getting all those wins, beating up on the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are just terrible. Oh, and the Pirates bring up another thing I have against Sandy Green, is that they don't respect the opponent, and they always play down their competition, it seems.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah.
It's like, that's clearly shows to me that he's not a motivator, and he can't get them ready to play against anybody. Like, they're 3-10 against Miami and Pittsburgh this year, and those are the 2 worst teams in the National League. And if we were just 7-6 instead, and 7-6 is not even a good record against those 2 teams, but if we were just that against those 2 teams, we'd be right in the thick of the wild card race.
Yeah, we would. Yeah, I mean, there's been a number of disappointing series for sure. And you're right. The team does play down to the low competition, and it will play up to the better competition.
Well, that just shows what I've been saying all along, that the talent's there. Like, I think this is the most talented Padres roster since 2007.
Yeah, I think that's about right. Yeah,
I really do. I mean, because 08 to 18, you had one winning season, which was 2010. That was like a bunch of career years. That was a total fluke. And it showed in September and 2011.
Right. That's right, because in September of 2010, they went into a tailspin.
Yeah, and then the Giants took over the division, won the World Series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So, do you think if let's say they blow out Green, do you think they should take out some of the other coaches as well?
I don't know. I mean, the offense has been getting better. Like April's brutal trying to hit at Petco anyways, because that's when it's cool in the marine layer. Mm-hmm. And in April, you had a bunch of like fluke things that limited the offense. Like Reyes was hitting balls like right at people, Yeah,
he was.
Machado was in the first month of a huge contract. He was trying to earn that $300 million on one swing. He wasn't producing. Renfroe was terrible most of April. Kinsler was just terrible most of April. Well, he really has been all season except for a little bit in May and June. But yeah, and then Hosmer was terrible for a lot of April, and we got nothing out of center field for a lot of April. Mm-hmm. So and it's tough enough to hit it at Petco in April anyways, and when you had all that fluke stuff happening, that kind of limited the offense. And then Tatis got hurt in May, and then when he came back in June, the offense kind of took off. They kind of hit a lull there in July a little bit, the middle of July. They kind of started middle of July. They hit a little cold streak offensively, but they've been hitting well, and they've actually been hitting better since Franmil Reyes got traded. And the reason I think that is because Naylor, he brings more balance to the lineup.
Yeah, the lefty-righty thing, right? Yeah.
That and Reyes didn't hit with runners in scoring position. Like, he always tried to be the hero and hit like the 3-run homer with runners in scoring position. Josh Naylor, when he comes out with the runners in the scoring position, he's like, all right, how can I get a line drive through the infield, get this guy home? And the first time he was up, he kind of had the same problem Machado did in April. We're trying to impress. Mm-hmm. Well, Naylor's, for different reasons, obviously. Naylor, because he was trying to stick in the big leagues. But since he came back up, he's been doing what he did in the minor leagues. He's been working counts, drawing walks, taking pitches.
He's been doing really well.
Hitting line drives, hitting home runs.
Yeah.
He's been good since he came back up. And I like what I've seen from him with the stick. I mean, we need more guys like Naylor who will hit with guys on base, hit line drives, get on base, instead of just all these homer or nothing guys. Like Renfroe and Reyes are both homer or nothing guys. So when you have those two in your lineup, one or both of them basically every day, that's why they were so inconsistent. Like they'd score like 10 runs a game for a week and then get shut out twice the next week. That's why they were so inconsistent. But now they got some more consistency in there. Doesn't help that Machado came around, although he's been struggling lately, but he came around after the slow start. Obviously Tatis, and then Mejia and Margot coming around, which is great because catcher and center field are two positions that are hard to find, and Margot's finally looking like the player we got from Boston in the Kimbrel trade. He's finally looking like that player we thought we were getting. Mejia's starting to kind of justify the hand trade, I mean, the way he's been hitting.
Yeah.
And his defense I think it's getting better.
Yeah, you see him framing all the time. He's getting a lot better at that.
And that's another thing is like they talk about with the catcher's ERA between Hedges and Mejia. I don't think that means much personally because Hedges caught like April and May most of the games when, Strom had the fluke good start. Margavich just had a couple fluke starts in April. And like Hedges was catching them when that happened. Like, and they've also, both catchers have caught games that have been a stinker. Like we give up 10, 11 runs, but Mejia doesn't have enough good games, enough outliers. He has enough good games and too many outliers. So it
skews his ERA.
Yeah, he doesn't have enough games that the outliers don't hurt him as much.
Right, I understand. That makes sense. So, wow, there's just so much going on. Like it's like at every position on the field, there's drama, there's a story, there's something going on. But turn your shoulders this way.
All right.
So the other way. So the camera can see us. Sometimes I've been looking over your shoulder and the camera's been zooming in on me rather than on you. So I want you to make sure you're on camera. So tell me, let's just talk about Wil Myers. He's like an enigma. So what do you think is going on with him?
Oh, geez. I mean, where do I start? I mean, it's kind of funny that you bring this up now while we're playing his old team, the Tampa Bay Rays, because I was going to go into the reason why we got him from Tampa in the first place and why that's a problem. So when we got him from Tampa Bay, at the time, I remember saying, well, why are they giving us this guy? He won Rookie of the Year 2 years ago. He's 24 years old. I mean, he's athletic. He has the potential to hit 30 home runs. I mean, why are they giving us this guy? And then I heard something about the wrist injuries, and I'm like, okay, maybe that was a fluke. Then he gets hurt the first year, but he was really good before the wrist injury in 2015.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, if they can keep him, and then he supposedly had that problem on his wrist since high school or something like that, and so he got the surgery to fix it. I'm like, all right, so now we got something here. Then he has that amazing first half in 2016. Well, we thought he was the future of the franchise then.
Yeah.
Kind of, he cooled off in the second half for whatever reason, whether it was the home run derby messing up his swing or because he got complacent because he was happy to make the All-Star team. Whatever happened, or because we traded Matt Kemp and he lost to the guy protecting him. Whatever the reason was, he kind of struggled. People shrugged it off like, okay, whatever. And then he got the contract extension, which is kind of looking like a mistake. We'll get into that. I'll get into that a little after I'm done talking about him. He has he goes 30-20 and 30 home runs, 20 steals in 2017. I mean, but the strikeouts are up. The runners in scoring position numbers aren't good. And you're just like, well, the talent's there. He didn't have it last year. Maybe it was because nobody was around him. I mean, Solarte was hitting cleanup a lot of the year around him. Heck, there was a game where Hector Sanchez and Corey Spangenberg were hitting behind him cleanup.
Yeah.
I mean, so you could have thought, oh, well, maybe he was just getting pitched around, whatever. And then we signed Hosmer, and you're like, okay, I mean, this is the year. I mean, he's got a guy protect him now, and then he keeps getting hurt. He had the arm, and then the oblique, and then he hit a foul ball off his foot.
Yeah.
It was just like one thing after another, and you're like, all right. And then we signed Machado too, and you're like, okay, he's not only is he not the main guy anymore, he's not even the second guy anymore. So like, you think that in this low pressure, it's kind of like the pressure's off him now, like, and he's got all these guys around him, and he could just thrive, and he was terrible for like so much of the
So I see Myers on the field, and I look at that guy and I think, man, that is an athletic specimen. It's just the perfect guy to be an amazing player. But yeah, he's a bit of a head case, So I think it was right after he was in the All-Star game, he was in the home run derby, and he just started trying too hard. That's what it seems like to me,
Kind of interesting that you think trying too hard because, I just think that I don't know if the guy's heart's in the game. You look at the guy's got a swing as good as that, and he's batting under 100 against guys like Kenta Maeda, and he doesn't make, it seems like for the longest time, he just goes into these deep slumps without making many adjustments. You're like, dude, make some adjustments. What are you doing? And, you can say, well, it's unfair to say that. You don't know, but when Kansas City traded him to Tampa Bay when he was a prospect for Shields and Davis, and then Tampa Bay traded him to us. All that was before 24 when he was like a number one prospect and then rookie of the year. And then you heard Tampa Bay say stuff like, oh, we didn't like his attitude or we don't know if his heart's in it. And we kind of just shrug it off. We're like, oh, maybe they're just trying to justify the trade. But when he goes into such deep slumps, when he obviously has the talent to avoid them, it just makes you bring up those red flags and maybe think, wow, maybe Tampa Bay was right about him with his heart not being in it.
Yeah, and you will see that when he does strike out, he just sort of has like a ho-hum attitude about it, when he swings on strike three. And he doesn't seem angry about it. He doesn't seem upset. It's odd.
I'm not saying you have to snap the bat over your knee or anything, but at least act like you messed up. He's just
Yeah. That's what I get too. So, but since, they traded Franmil Reyes, Myers has been better.
He's been better. It just still frustrates me that a guy with that kind of talent I don't know if his heart's not in it, his head's messed up, his head's not in it. I don't know what it is, but the guy's an underachiever, and now we're stuck with the contract. And I think the contract was forced because, now you're in a bad spot with him. Let's just say you didn't give him the contract extension. He would be in his third year of arbitration, so a free agent after the year. They tried to dump him this offseason. Nobody would take the contract.
Right.
But if he was still in his last year of arbitration, somebody would have taken a gamble on him.
Of course.
Because he would have just been in his ARB3 number. And if he sucked, you could just say, whatever, he's gone.
Well, it seemed to me like Ron Fowler wanted to make a commitment to the organization, prove to the fans he was willing to spend the money. And, after that 2016 season, there was hope, right? With Myers. So it seemed to me that he was trying to, it was almost like a marketing angle, to show his commitment.
Well, the thing I feel about the Myers extension is there were some rumors of it, after the All-Star game and in November. But then nothing came to fruition then. And then they announced the extension. I think the extension's January 13th or 14th, 2017. I don't remember the exact date, but we all know what happened the night of January 11th and the morning of January 12th in 2017. So I think as the only professional sports team in the city, he was like, I gotta prove it. I gotta do this favor for San Diego and extend this, the main guy of the team we have left.
So I was just doing the math in my head. Those are the dates the Chargers moved, right?
Exactly. That's what I was trying to tell you.
Yeah. Okay.
So the Chargers left, and everyone's all pissed, F Spanos, and I can't believe we lost them. And so then I thought that Fowler just said, let's do the extension now and, give these people something to look forward to. And then people will be like, all right, the Padres extend Myers, the Chargers just left us, we're going to get the people behind us now.
So is that the timing of it? It was right after the Chargers moved?
Yes, it was. I believe the extension was first announced, 2 or 3 days after the move.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, now, so there you go. Again, I think it's Fowler trying to make a statement. Yeah.
And that's what I think the problem with Fowler is I think he tries too hard to make a statement instead of doing stuff that makes sense.
It's funny, for the longest time we were always angry at the Padre owners because they wouldn't make the investment. Then now they make the investment, but it was in the wrong guy in this case.
Well, I like the investments in Hosmer and Machado. I like those investments. I just thought the Myers investment was just unnecessary and trying to be hey, they left, we extended our guys, so
no, a lot of people criticize the Hosmer signing. They thought that's part of the reason that Will Myers got screwed up, that we didn't need to sign Hosmer at first. What's your take on that?
I'm not going to get into the whole thing because I think there's some I'm not going to name any names, but I think there's some really dumb people on there who just look at whatever the computer says in the WAR and say like, oh, that's terrible. He's it. I mean, he has one WAR and we're paying him $20 million. That's terrible. Like, I don't understand that angle because, I mean, his defense has not been good this year. I'll admit it. He's cost Tatis a lot of errors by not making scooping balls, but it's been good in the past despite what the metrics say, in my opinion. I thought with Kansas City, he made a lot of good plays on bad throws. Even last year, like there would be some bad throws and he'd like have some good footwork around the base, save the error. We haven't seen that this year. I mean, probably just a fluke. I mean, he'll probably be better next year. I mean, anyways, his defense hasn't been good. I can admit that, but the guy comes up, there's a runner at second, 2 outs, he'll get that hit to drive that guy in. Like I was saying earlier, him, Machado, Tatis are the only guys that really do that on this team. And, like last night, first inning, Tatis at third, 2 outs. What does Hosmer do? He comes up and rips a double down the right field line, get us on the board. Mm-hmm. I believe he's hitting like 370 or higher with runners in scoring position. I mean, that's phenomenal. He has 79 RBIs.
Yeah, he's on track for over 100 RBI.
Oh, like 23, 24 home runs.
And then is he hitting like over 280, isn't he?
Yeah, he was at 279 going into last night. Then he went 2 for 4, so he's back over 280.
Right on. That's awesome.
That's great. I mean,
yeah.
The only thing is he hasn't walked like he did in Kansas City, so his on base is only in the 330s. But I mean, if Urias is going to be, a 350 on base guy, which is what he's looked like since he's come back up, if Margot's really going to keep his on base at 350, Machado, for Machado, he's like a run producer. He drives and runs, but he'll still have like a 340, 350 on base. Tatis will have 360, 370 on base.
So do you like Urias? Do you think he's the answer for second base?
I don't know if he's the answer. And I think that some of these people who act like he's going to be a Hall of Fame second baseman, like I saw somebody that said something like, we're going to regret trading this guy like we regret trading Rizzo, or this would be like us trading Alomar. I've seen people say that. I'm like, holy, slow down, guys. I mean, I don't think he's that good. I think he's a little overrated as a prospect, but he's always walked in the minor leagues, and now that he's kind of gained a chance to play, I mean, the season average is still only 160, but the on-base is 320. He's had a little bit of bad luck with batted balls. He hasn't been striking out since he came back up.
Yeah, he's done better. And
he's been a lot better.
He seems to be improving.
And he seems a lot more comfortable at the plate.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I mean, this year, it's so late in the season that even if he goes on a tear the rest of the year, the average won't look good, but he'll probably end the season around 200, but the on base will be like 340, 350. So then you're thinking, okay, next year, let's say he can hit 260, then have 370, 380. And if you have that hitting 8th, and then Tatis comes up with him on base, that's what we want.
So let me put this out to you. So let's say Preller fires Green, and they say we're hiring David Leland to come into the dugout.
All right.
Okay. What's your starting lineup? Who's in the field, and what's the batting order 1 through 9?
All right. This is just current personnel, right?
Yeah, so current personnel.
So, no additions.
No additions, and assume no call-ups or anything. Just who's on the 25-man now.
Okay. I'm going to have Fernando Tatis Jr. playing shortstop and leading off. I'm going to have Josh Naylor hitting second, playing left field. Manny Machado's hitting third, playing third base. Eric Hosmer's hitting fourth, playing first. Hunter Renfroe's hitting fifth, playing right field. Francisco Mejia's hitting sixth and catching. Manuel Margot is hitting seventh and playing center field. And Luis Urias is hitting eighth, playing second base. And that's pretty much what Green's been doing.
Yeah.
Like, the lineup construction, at least the last, couple weeks, has not been my issue with Green. I actually like the lineups he's put out recently, but the bullpen management and the lack of fundamentals, which I talked about, is what bothers me about Green.
So let's talk about the pitching. So if you look at the staff, do you have a 5-man rotation? Do you do something creative, 6-man, or have some openers? How would you manage the pitching staff?
All right, so, I think the pitching staff needs to be addressed. So the starting rotation, I think they need to go get 1 or even 2 veterans, because you can't really count on Garrett Richards. He got hurt during his rehab, so
we're hopeful.
That guy's hurt the whole time. You can't count on him.
No.
But rotation, you got a good starting point, because, Paddock, he's kind of cooled off lately, but, you kind of expect that. He's kind of thrown more than he already has. He's coming up on his shutdown. So he hasn't been dominant like he was in the first half, but he'll be pretty good long term. Quantrill finally looks like the guy that we thought we were getting when we took him in the first round.
He's been fantastic lately.
It's been great to see Quantrill lately. I mean, Lamet, the command's still not there, but that's the last thing that comes back when you have Tommy John. The stuff's there. The stuff's phenomenal. I think next year when he has better command, Lamet's going to be very good. So you got those three.
Well, he almost had a no-hitter a few weeks ago.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And that just shows you how good the stuff is. And next year, another year removed from Tommy John, the command will be better. Not that it's ever been great. He's ever had great command, but it'll be better next year.
Mm-hmm.
And so those three right there make a nice rotation. And then obviously Mackenzie Gore is going to come up. I don't know if it'll be in the opening day rotation, but some point soon.
Mm-hmm. And then, but like if you're just looking at the roster today, are there some relievers or starters that you would just get rid of or just not play at all?
Well, we got rid of the guys that were made our bullpen terrible in the first half and cost us just so many games. Like Brad Wick's gone,
Right.
Phil Mayon's gone, Matt Whistler's gone. Robbie Erlin, I think we just brought him back up because they put Edwards on the injured list. I'm not sure if that's a real injury or...
Did that happen just like last night or this morning?
It happened like a half hour ago.
Oh, wow. So, but they do that where it's like almost like a fake injury. It just to provide
the
an
eye suck
opportunity.
disease.
Yeah.
Because Edwards had been pretty bad 2 days in a row. I mean, I still would give him innings when he's healthy, though, because... he's been terrible this year with Chicago, but the previous 3 years, he was a very good reliever for the Cubs.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
And so that's a guy that you want to get with Balsley and see if Balsley can find something with him and see if he's good. So hopefully he comes back pretty soon. We can see what we have with him. And then if he just sucks, you just non-tender him.
So now we're talking a little more GM. So let's say you're AJ Preller. What are the moves that you'd make to the team? What were the moves you would have made at the trade deadline a few weeks ago?
Well, I was fine with the Reyes trade. I talked about how Reyes' deficiencies. I didn't even talk about how his defense cost us bases and runners in games. I mean, I didn't even talk about that, but I thought there were deficiencies in Reyes' game that made him not a fit for this team. And Logan Allen, he was kind of underwhelming. I mean, he could still be good, but he was kind of underwhelming. And with bringing up guys like Gore and Patino and Ryan Weathers and even Joey Cantillo, I mean, there's dudes behind him that you're like, okay, we don't really need Logan Allen that much.
I agree.
And then Trammell, I mean, he's having a down year this year, but the skills are all there. And Trammell's just a typical Preller guy where, like, he's super toolsy. I mean, like, all the scouts were raving about us getting Trammell. Like, they gave up, like, a DH and a back-end starter for a guy in Trammell who has all these tools. I mean, now will Trammell pan out? Will this bad season show that he can't hit above single A or whatever? Maybe, but I said earlier, like, the team has been hitting better and the lineup is better, more balanced, and more consistent with Naylor in there. So I think just making room for Naylor in the lineup alone helps the team.
But what about Naylor's defense? Isn't that kind of suspect?
It's weird with Naylor because in right field, he's an adventure. In left field, he looks like he knows what he's doing.
Interesting.
So as long as they keep him in left field, he should be fine out there. Because in left field, I've never seen something in left field where I'm like, oh my God, we can't have this guy out there. And then in right field, I'm just like, what is this guy doing?
Yeah, there were some incidents in right field.
But in left field, he's been fine.
Right on. Well, maybe it's the shadows or, you get a little bit of sunlight there in right field.
Maybe it's the angles off the ball.
Yeah.
Like, I remember Brian Giles saying one time back in the day that, like, even though he was a right fielder, he liked playing center the best because he liked the way he could read the angles in center better.
Right. That makes sense. I saw Brian Giles here in Poway a long time ago. One of my children was this is back when they were in preschool, here at kind of near Ted Williams Parkway, and we were there for a Halloween event, and there's Brian Giles with his girlfriend and his girlfriend's daughter. So it's kind of cool. That was before he got in trouble.
Yeah, I was about to say. I mean,
so let's, if you were to project this team out, let's say 2 years from now, how do you think the roster changes? Who's going to be the top guys? Who's not going to be on the team?
Well, I think we're going to make... It sounds like, to me, I don't know if... I haven't, read the article or listened to the interview where he said this, but somebody said that I follow on Twitter that Casavell said we're going to trade for a starter. I don't think that's going to be Noah Syndergaard because, the Mets have kind of gone hot, and, they traded for Stroman, who's under control for next year.
Yeah.
So you got to think... If you're the Mets, you got to think, okay, we're kind of on a roll, and we're gonna have a chance next year, especially if the Nationals lose Rendon, which I don't think will happen because they were gonna give Harper $300 million and they didn't. So I think they can just redirect that money to Rendon. But anyways, I don't think Syndergaard's going to be available, but a guy I think they're going to look at is Mike Minor from Texas.
Well, everyone talks about Garrett Cole. That's the guy that maybe they should sign. But you think Minor is the better fit?
Well, obviously Cole's the better fit because, that's just money. You don't have to give anything up. But,
yeah.
I mean, can the Padres even do Garrett Cole without, dumping the Myers contract? I mean, next year you're going to have $30 million to Machado, $20 million to Hosmer. Not saying those are bad investments because we need those guys on this team, and I'm thrilled both of them are Padres, but that's $50 million right there. And then actually I think it's $21 million for Hosmer, but that's a small difference. I mean, and then you got, what is it, $22 million to Myers? I mean, and then you're going to add, Cole's going to be like 33, 34, maybe $35 million. I mean, that's before arbitration raises, and that's going to, depending on how long the Cole contract is, that could affect your ability to extend Tatis or extend Paddock. So unless they dump the Myers contract, I just don't see how Cole fits. Now, what I could see is maybe they sign Cole Hamels, shorter contract because he's older, and he'll be like a 2-year, $34 million contract. He's in his mid-30s, but he can still pitch. He's a San Diego native. He's
Rancho Bernardo, right up the road.
Yeah, he's won some big games.
It's Nona. She just came to say hi.
I mean, he's won some big games, when he was with Philadelphia, and I think he won Game 1 of the division series in 2015 when he was with Texas even.
Yeah.
And he pitched pretty well in the wild card game against Colorado last year. The Cubs just couldn't score.
Mm-hmm.
But so anyways, Cole Hamels is from here. He's pitched in big games, and, being older, you can get him for the, 15, 16, 17 million a year. And that's affordable. That would get you a little under league average on payroll-wise.
Nona wants some attention.
And if you have a little under league average payroll, that can work. I mean, because, the revenues are up because, they're selling more merchandise and more tickets since signing Machado.
Mm-hmm.
And, next year they're going to the Brown, and people are going to want to stock up on Brown gear. They're going to make a bank off people trying to stock up on the new Brown gear. So they're going to have, money to go out there and spend. I mean, they've had low payrolls for forever up until these last couple of years.
That's been the criticism by some people online, that we're still well below the league the median for our investments. So hopefully that'll change.
I think they're talking league average. I mean, if it was median, we'd probably be pretty close to average because if you're just talking average, like the mean, then obviously you're gonna have like the Yankees and Red Sox that are way up there that like inflate the average.
Right.
But if if you do the median where like you take Yankees off the top, A's or Rays, whoever it is off the bottom,
and we're right around the middle.
We're probably right. I think we'd probably still be a little under, but I mean, I understand the argument for like, hey, league average payroll, like with the talent that's coming up, if we can get to a league average payroll, I mean, that should keep us there. I kind of understand that argument. I mean, maybe a little under would still even work, but I mean, they have room to go, sign a Cole Hamels and trade for Mike Minor. That's 2 vets. And then you can have Gore as your 6th starter whenever he's ready to come up. And, I mean, they'll keep those guys fresh in a situation that if we do get to the postseason, they're not all gassed from.
Well, hopefully, I mean, it would require a magical run for them to make it this year.
I don't even know if I really want that because I don't think I've been ranting about Andy Green this whole time. Like, I don't think we can win a World Series with that guy. And if we're going to make that run, that's going to keep his job. But what are we going to do in the playoffs? We're going to get mowed down by Max Scherzer in the wild card game. And if we get past that, we got to face the Dodgers in the divisional round. That's not going to end well either.
Yeah.
So,
right.
I mean, and there's like less than a 1% chance of this happening anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And do you really want that? Just to losing the wild card game in the division series to save the manager's job when we can't win a World Series with this guy?
My goal in the beginning of the year was just be at 500. That would to me be such huge progress forward. Maybe we have a shot at. We got to make up 8 games with about 40 to go, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, we've ever since the 11-5 comeback against the Colorado, we're 5-2 against them since that game, and we still play them 6 more times. We're 7-3 against Arizona, and we got 9 more games against them. And they traded Kroenke, who was responsible for 2 of our 3 losses to them. So
wow.
We do have a chance to make up some games, but even going 500, that might save Andy Green's job. And it's almost at the point where, like, is it worth it to save this guy's job? I mean,
right.
I don't think we can win a World Series with this guy.
Who would you hire? Rod Barajas, promote him from within? Or
I'm a big fan of Rod Barajas. I mean, I would do that. Kind of sounds like the team wants a more experienced guy. I don't want Joe Girardi. That's a lot of people's like, oh, go out there and get Joe Girardi. I mean, the guy's a good manager. He won a World Series in New York, but
he says he wants to come back and manage.
The problem with Girardi for me is that he said, well, he said this. The Yankees said that they didn't renew his contract after he made the ALCS with a team that was a year ahead and got to a Game 7 against Houston, who won the whole thing. They didn't bring him back because they said he didn't communicate well with the young players, and like he had issues with Gary Sanchez. And we're gonna still, even next year, have a pretty young team. And do you want a guy like that who the Yankees didn't bring back after they almost made a World Series ahead of schedule because he didn't communicate with young players? Is that a guy that you want running your team? I don't think so.
So you think it would be Barajas if you were in charge? That's who you'd put in the seat?
Yeah, I'd also look at Buck Showalter if he's still into managing. I mean, I'm sure Machado would endorse him because, Machado, that was his manager in Baltimore when he was coming up.
How old is Showalter? He's got to be in his mid to late 60s, right?
I mean,
he's up there.
How old is he's got to be around Joe Maddon's age, and Joe Maddon still wants to keep managing even if the Cubs don't bring him back after this year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if the Cubs don't bring Joe Maddon back, we better be all over that.
Oh, yeah. But, what do you think about the rumors, not even rumors, I think wishful thinking that Bochy would come back to the Padres?
I think he's done managing. I mean,
I think
he's
so
had
too.
health problems. He's getting up there in age. He's had surgeries. He had the heart issue a couple years ago, and he's getting up there in age. He'll probably come back and be like a special assistant to the front office or something like that here. Some laid back job in our front office. Probably something like that.
So I don't want this to be all Padres. I love talking Padres, but we can talk Chargers, Aztecs. We can talk about a lot of other things. Where do you want to go with this?
Well, the first thing I want to say, because football season's starting, is that it's year 3 now since we lost the Chargers. It's not getting any easier, and I don't think it ever will.
That was unbelievable that they pulled the plug. I mean, you don't follow him. You're the big anti-Charger guy.
Absolutely anti. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm the same way. My interest in the NFL was declining for some time, and then the minute they pulled the plug, I don't even pay attention. I might have a game on in the background, but I'm not emotionally connected to anybody anymore.
I mean, I understand that, and a lot of people are like you now. They're like, oh, they took my team, I'm done. I mean, you see this. I go to spring training a lot of years, and we have a spring training complex with the Mariners. So that's Seattle fans. And I've talked to a bunch of them that were Supersonics fans, and they all tell me they haven't watched in the NBA since then.
Yeah, I believe it. So I've gone back to rooting for my childhood teams, which are the 49ers and the Raiders. So, but, I really don't care. I don't really know who the players are on those teams anymore.
I mean, it's just the thing that bothers me about the whole thing is that, well, one thing is Dean Spanos made it about him.
Oh, yeah, you did.
And the thing that bothers me that he took away, and it was all him, and I can get to that later, but what he took away from this city and this community, it's unbelievable. I mean, growing up, I would go over to my best friend's house, in the morning we'd have, Red Zone on his big TV, and then 1 o'clock comes around, we'd flip Red Zone over to the kitchen TV, and then we'd put the Chargers on the big screen, celebrated the big wins together. I mean, I was over at his house for the overtime win against Kansas City in Week 17 in 2013. Great celebration, wild game, and it was just great day celebrating with my friend, and what a day it was. We made the playoffs after we had a couple years of drought under Norv and whatever, and then I was there for the bit I'd losses too, losing to Denver in the playoffs a couple weeks later. I would go to games with my dad. We'd watch the games together. I mean, it was just something that this community bonded over for so long, and so many family traditions. I don't know if any of you guys follow at Fight for SD on Twitter, but I've talked to him before. I met him. He's a great guy, and he's said stuff like this on Twitter before, but the Chargers were a family tradition for him dating back to his grandpa, and then his dad, and then him, and Spanos just took that all away.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy. It's 56 years gone. I mean, that's longer than the Supersonics were in Seattle. That's longer than the original Browns were in Cleveland. That's longer than the Colts were in Baltimore. That's longer than the Expos were in Montreal.
Wow.
This sucks. And it's all because, he didn't want to put his fair share in. I mean, what is this? 2015, the team goes 4-12. he's sending out his attack dog, Fabiani, to just firebomb the city. To just firebomb the city every week.
Yeah.
Like, trash the city officials, trash the fans, trash anybody related to San Diego, really. They kept McCoy after they go 4-12, 0-6 in the division. And then he comes back and wants, $1.15 billion, whatever. It's like, dude, what? You want all this money? You didn't even want us last year. Now you want our money? Like, what the heck?
Right.
And then people then there's, the uninformed people who just bash San Diego, like, oh, why didn't you vote for that? It's like, well, first of all, it was a terrible deal, and he pissed us all off last year. And second of all, most of the fan base couldn't even vote on it. Third of all, it's still got 44%. Like, if he actually, pitched in his fair share, we would have had a deal. They'd be playing in a new stadium right now. We'd still have him. We'd be talking about how excited we are for this upcoming season. But no, he made it all about him. He's selfish. He's greedy. I can't stand the guy.
It seemed to me like he wanted to go to L.A. That was his end game. And he played it in San Diego to say, well, we tried, but San Diego didn't want us. I think that's what the narrative he was hoping to get. And he got caught, because it was obvious that he had that underhanded strategy.
I mean, that's what a lot of people say, and it's not totally wrong, but here's what I think about Dean Spanos. For him, it was never about San Diego. It was never about LA. It was never about San Diego fans. It was never about LA fans. It was never about any Charger fan located anywhere in the world. For him, it was about how he could end up in a new stadium while paying as little as possible for it. Whether that was San Diego, LA, Vegas, wherever it was, San Antonio, wherever. And he didn't even really get that. I mean,
he's going to be paying a lot now with the franchise move fee and whatever.
That's the thing. It's
Kroenke's going to charge
him. He's paying $650 million to move to LA. It's like to rent from Kroenke. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Why didn't you just invest that $650 million into a new stadium in San Diego? That would have been a much smarter move.
Exactly.
Then you would have gone 200, 300 from the NFL, and right there you're almost at $1 billion. I mean, if you can't get a stadium deal done from there, what are you doing? And that's Dean Spanos. What are you doing, man?
Yeah. Unbelievable. So you think Phillip Rivers, how much time does he have left?
I mean, he's 37. Tom Brady's 42. I mean, so it seems like these quarterbacks nowadays, with all these rules that you can't touch them without getting a 15-yard penalty, can last longer. So he'll probably play a while longer, but he probably won't be as good, like, in the next 2 years. And they're going to, extend him because, he wants to play in the new stadium. And
this is a contract year for him, right?
So this probably is the Chargers' last year where they can go all in because, we know Spanos with his contracts. I mean, we're seeing it with Melvin Gordon right now.
Yeah, so he demanded a trade, right?
Yeah, and because the Chargers weren't gonna up their offer to him, and next year Joey Bosa is gonna be in that same boat, and we know from the last season here, like how that went with Bosa the first time.
It was Bosa's mom, right? That was.
So we should have pulled an Eli Manning.
Yeah.
Anyways, Bosa's gonna want a contract next year, and he already had one messy negotiation with the team. I mean. And now his brother's on the Niners, and it seems like the Niners have had a ton of cap space the last couple of years. So, like, imagine San Francisco just throws money at him. Hey, come play with your brother. I mean, and the Niners will be an up-and-coming team in the next couple of years, too. Like, anyways, so Gordon's already in a contract dispute. Bosa next year, and they're just going to give Rivers the contract extension because that organization caters to him.
Right.
Almost too much so, and I thought that was a big problem when I was a fan of the team when they were here. So they're going to give him an extension. And they're not going to have as much money and resources to go to other players like Joey Bosa, like Melvin Gordon, like we're seeing right now. So this is probably their last year they can really go for a Super Bowl. I mean, as much as I hate to say that they have a chance, but fortunately for us in San Diego, they're already kind of starting to screw up. You mean the Gordon contract? I mean, you got Russell Okung's got some injury and they don't know when he's going to play, and that's a left tackle, And they got all kinds of questions on the O-line, and, they have a good roster, but but they still can't beat New England, and Tom Brady and Bill Belichick aren't going anywhere, So
what's your Super Bowl prediction for the NFL this coming season?
I mean, I have no clue on the AFC because I don't want to say it's the Chargers because that just hurts me too much. And for some reason, I can't see New England going back for a fourth year in a row. But I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl this year.
Really?
Yeah.
And
they seem to have the best roster.
So it's Carson Wentz, right, as their quarterback?
Yes.
So he's back, right?
Yes, he's back.
Okay.
I mean, and Philadelphia, their corners aren't that great, but they got a nasty D-line and pass rush. They got good safeties. Their O-line's incredible. They got a bunch of solid running backs. They got really good receivers. They got an amazing tight end combination, Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert. And, Carson Wentz is good, so that's why I got the Eagles.
So do you, what about upcoming rookies? Do you think any of the new players are going to make a big impact in the league?
I'd watch for Kyler Murray on Arizona because Cliff Kingsbury, you can question the hire because, defense and is he ready for the NFL, but that guy knows how to coach offense, and Kyler Murray's got all the skills to thrive in a Kingsbury-style offense.
So is he going to be the starter, you think?
Yeah, absolutely. He's a starter.
But
they traded Josh Rosen.
Yeah, I was going to say, they had the UCLA guy. So
they traded him to Miami.
Oh, they did? Okay. Again, I would tell you, I'm not as in tune with the NFL. What did you think of Rosen? Did you like him?
I thought Arizona kind of they put him in a bad situation. At UCLA, you're okay, this guy's really good, but he needs an O-line because he's kind of like a Phillip Rivers. He's a statue.
Right.
And Arizona had the worst O-line in the league last year, so it was kind of unfair to him to be in a situation like that. Plus, he had Mike McCoy as his offensive coordinator the first half of the season, and we all know in San Diego about that guy.
Right. Wow. Now, let's go a couple other spots here. We've been talking baseball, NFL. How about what do you think about the Aztecs basketball team and the football program coming up this fall?
Football team, we lose Kahale wearing the tight end, but, we didn't throw that much last year. I hope the transfer quarterback, Jordan Brookshire, takes over for Agnew. I like that Washington's healthy from the start of this year. I like that we got a lot of our defense coming back. I expect to win the West Division, the Mountain West, because Fresno State lost a lot. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll probably lose, to Boise State, probably in the Mountain West Championship game, but I expect to win the West Division.
Right on. I got to say this, David. I am freaking blown away about the amount of information that is in your head. You have just an incredible grasp of all these statistics. It's amazing. It's a talent. You're born to do this. You're born to do this, man. So this is awesome. I'm really enjoying this.
Well, I'm glad you are.
Yeah. What about basketball? I'm a big Aztecs basketball fan. What do you think they're going to do this year?
Kind of sucks to lose Ed Chang because he transferred because he wasn't getting playing time, because I thought he had potential, but they gave him more playing time. But, we got Malachi Flynn, the Washington State guard now.
There's two other guards they just picked up, too. One guy from Santa Clara.
Oh, yeah, that guy's good. I forgot the name off the top of my head.
Is it Farron? KJ Farron?
Yes, or something like that.
Yeah.
Either way, I haven't really been keeping up with those names lately because I've been so into the Padres season.
Oh yeah.
So once that ends, I'll circle back around to Aztec basketball stuff.
Yeah. So that won't start until November. So we're still 3 months out.
Well, Aztec football. 2 weeks from Saturday is the opener against Weber State.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Is that the Sky Show?
It is.
Okay. Yeah. One of my friends, Larry, was all fired up for the Sky Show. He's like, we got to go. He always gets a big group of tickets. Wow, so that's I can't believe the football season's about to start. When does the NFL start? I know they've been doing preseason.
It's Thursday after Labor Day.
Okay, so college ball will start a week or week and a half ahead.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So what else, man? What else is on your mind?
I've just been thinking a lot about, this baseball season, how the Padres can get better. And I'm really looking forward to this offseason because there's a lot of ways they can go.
Oh, I agree. Like you said, they got to get at least one veteran starter.
You want to know what I do this offseason?
Yeah, what would you do?
So first thing I'd do is I'd sign Cole Hamels, 2 years, $34 million, $35 million, $36 million. Get him in here. He's won big games. He's a San Diego native. He still has a 3.10 ERA, I think, for the Cubs this year. Guy can still pitch. So get him in here, and you can say, well, he wants to go back to Philadelphia, and the Phillies want him back. Everyone said Patrick Corbin was going to be a Yankee last year, and look, he's a Washington National now. So Don't just let teams have guys. Go after him. You'll get him. That's what Washington did with Corbin, or everyone thought he was going to be a Yankee. And so anyways, do that with Hamels. Get him in here. Second thing I try to do is I try to dump that Myers contract on somebody. Trade him. Give him Ryan Weathers and Joey Cantillo. We got pitching prospects coming up, and Preller's been great at drafting. So trust that Preller can draft to replenish those guys. Trade Weathers, Cantillo if you have to. Dump Myers in his contract. I'd sign Jake Odorizzi too. He's going to be a free agent after the year. He's having a good year for Minnesota. I'm sure his preferals aren't great, and, he'd come a little cheaper than Hamels. So get him in here too. That's your two veteran pitchers without giving up any prospects.
Or make the trade for Minor.
Yeah, I don't know what Texas would want for Minor. So that's why I would go the Hamels and Odorizzi route instead of Hamels and trading for Minor. Another guy I'd look at that's kind of interesting to me is Brandon Nimmo from the Mets.
Oh, yeah.
Left-handed bat. I mean, he's been hurt a ton this year, and he wasn't hitting before he got hurt. And now, well, he's been out. I mean, do the Mets have a spot for him? I mean, Jeff McNeil's going to win a batting title. Yeah. He's been playing outfield this year. I mean, they got Conforto was a good player. I mean, J.D. Davis is raking now. And Dominic Smith can hit. I mean, he can't play any defense. He's worse than Naylor out there, but the guy can hit. And they got Pete Alonso at first base. They got to try and force him out there. I mean, they got those 4 guys that can be outfielders. Even if, they let Todd Frazier walk and put McNeil at third base, that's still 3 outfielders that they have that can start, and they want to catch it long term. So I'd say, give them Luis Torrens and Lauer Lucchesi for Nimmo. I mean, 'cause that's a guy that you can put in there and shield Renfroe against a tough righty. Because for me, Renfroe, he kind of when he plays every single day, he kind of falls into bad habits. But if you give him 1 to 2 days off a week, he's better. So if he played, let's say 115 games instead of 130, he'd be a lot better. So you can get a guy like Nimmo, left-handed bat off the bench. He can shield Renfroe against those tough righties so that Renfroe's playing the amount of games you want him to play when he's most effective.
See, you mentioned Pete Alonso. There's been all this Tatis, Alonso, Rookie of the Year. It's fun banter. But really, Alonso has no chance, does he?
Well, if they were just going off who's the better overall player, Tatis will win a landslide. But the problem here is Pete Alonso, he hits home runs. Everyone loves the home run nowadays. And he plays in New York, the big media market on the East Coast. So, Pete Alonso has those 2 things going for him. That's going to make it a close vote, way closer than it should be. Hopefully Tatis wins it, though.
It'd be nice. When was the last time the Padres had a Rookie of the Year?
I think it was Benito Santiago in '87.
Oh, my, really? That long?
Yeah.
So, Khalil Green?
He finished second to Jason Bay in 2004, I believe.
Because I'm trying to think of what other, great rookies have we had?
Well, none, really.
Yeah, you're right. None. Because our farm system's just been so horrible.
Yeah. I mean, the Rookie of the Year award itself isn't, it doesn't mean a whole lot. I mean, I'm sure these annoying Mets fans on social media will make it Alonso's the greatest player ever if he wins the award. I mean, but the award itself's kind of meaningless. I mean, Angel Baroa won the award in 2003, and he was back in AAA the next year. I mean, 2008, Giovanni Soto wins the award. When's the last time you heard of that guy? Oh, yeah. By the way, who did he beat out for that award in 2008? A guy named Joey Votto. I mean, does the Rookie of the Year voting really even matter?
Yeah, fair points.
I mean, it would be nice to have that award and for us to have something
something to celebrate.
Something to celebrate here in San Diego. Because we don't have anything to celebrate. We haven't had anything to celebrate in years.
And for so long, the Dodgers have always had Rookie of the Year. They had a stretch here recently. And then I remember it was in the 80s or the 90s they had a run.
When they had, I believe it was when it was, Quiros, Piazza, Hollinsworth, and some other guy in the early 90s.
Yeah.
I forget who the 4th guy was.
Was it Raul Mondesi, maybe?
Yeah, I think it was.
El Cañon.
Yeah. And then Oral Hershiser, too, right? I mean, sorry. No, not Oral. Fernando Valenzuela. That was earlier, though, actually.
Yeah, he was 1980, I think. And then Hershiser, I think was a rookie.
Hideo Nomo, that's who I was thinking of.
Yeah, it was Hideo Nomo.
Yeah.
The rookie that really wasn't a rookie.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like Ichiro in 2001. I mean, you still get Yankee fans be like, oh, Ichiro played in Japan. I mean, that should have been a Soriano's award. You hear Yankee fans still say that. I mean, it's a fair point.
They're all bitter. And then who are the rookies that the Dodgers had recently? I know, was Jock Peterson one of them? Or
no, Bellinger won Rookie of the Year 2 years ago.
Okay.
And then Seager... I think Seager won in 16 too. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure Seager won in 16 as well.
Amazing. Did Kershaw win a Rookie of the Year?
No, he did not.
Wow. Incredible.
Because he came up as a 20-year-old and he was kind of inconsistent, kind of wild. So
right.
That was the year that Giovanni Soto won it over Joey Votto, 2008. Which kind of proves how saying a statement like that Giovanni Soto won an award over Joey Votto, kind of shows how irrelevant the award actually can be at times. But like I said, we need something to celebrate in San Diego.
Yeah.
And we need, little San Diego needs to beat out New York in something, right?
It's something, exactly. So hopefully Tatis, I mean, you saw that, you were there at the game, that catch he made last night.
That was incredible. And it's not even the most incredible thing he's done this year. He's scored from third on pop-ups. He's scored from second on ground balls back to the pitcher.
Yeah.
It's just, the guy's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a highlight film every
single night. You don't know what he's going to do. It's like, I don't know if you watched that MLB Network documentary on the 95 Mariners.
No.
But they talked about how Ken Griffey Jr., like, when the Mariners were starting to kind of come up a little bit before, the magical 95 season, how, like, Ken Griffey Jr. was, like, something for them to watch, like, when they were going through their tough times, because that was just, like, a highlight reel every night. That's like Tatis for us right now.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Tatis, I mean, and he just strikes me as a good kid, too, I mean, he's 20 years old. I mean, it's unbelievable he's this good at that age.
That's another thing about the award. It's like, okay, if Alonso takes it this year, Alonso's already 25.
Really?
Yeah, he's an older rookie. He drafted him out of Florida a couple years ago, so out of college, and then he spent a few years in the minors, so...
Wow.
He's an older rookie.
Yeah, that's why they call him Grandpa, right? So he was getting some heat on that because he looks a little bit older.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, he'll be out of the league in 4 years. I mean, no, he's got a little longer than that, but yeah, he is kind of old for a rookie.
So tonight you're going to the game.
Yes, I am.
So who are the starting pitchers for tonight?
We got Brendan McKay, that pitcher first baseman from Louisville that Tampa Bay took a couple years ago, against Lauer.
Lauer's been good lately.
I mean, he was good in the first half, and then ever since, like, his dad died during the All-Star break, he's kind of struggled in the second half.
He had that great game against the Dodgers, though.
I mean, he always has a great game against the Dodgers. I mean, I don't understand that, but I'll definitely take anybody who's a Dodger killer on this team.
Right. Yeah.
That's his only good start of the second half is against the Dodgers.
Yeah. You kind of feel for him, though, losing his dad in the middle of the season.
Yeah,
That's gotta be
I
tough.
did see a tweet today, too. I think it was AJ Cassavell that said, might have been Dennis Lynn or Jeff Sanders, one of those three, said that he's wearing custom cleats to honor his father tonight. So
nice.
So hopefully he throws a gem tonight.
That'd be sweet. So the pitcher for the Rays, is it a lefty or a righty?
It's a lefty.
So Naylor probably won't start then.
I believe he's not in there. I believe Myers is in left field tonight.
Yeah, that makes sense. And who's going to catch tonight?
It's Hedges, and I actually agree with this. I mean, I'm a big Mejia guy. Like, I think he should be in there almost all the time. But I'm definitely cool with Hedges tonight because Lauer does much better with Hedges, and it's a left-handed pitcher, and right-handed is Mejia's weaker side offensively.
So what do you think of the idea of pairing up Hedges with certain pitchers and Mejia with other pitchers? So there's like these different batteries.
I mean, if you're going to do that where like Hedges catches one, maybe two specific pitchers, I'm all for it. But if it ends up being a situation where like three pitchers with Hedges, then you're just keeping one of your better bats out of the lineup for 60% of the games. I don't like that. But if it's one or two pitchers, go for it.
Yeah, Mejia's bat. It's just been fantastic. So
I mean, the guy's a free swinger. I mean, the guy's like, he reminds me of like Vladimir Guerrero Sr., like just swinging at pitches. Like, you're like, how does he hit that? And he crushes them. Like last year in Cincinnati, Luis Castillo threw that ball like, 97 miles an hour? That looked like it was going to hit him on the foot. And he turns around and hits a home run like halfway up the bleachers at Great American Ballpark. I'm like, how did you even hit that ball? I don't hit it that far.
That is like Vlad Sr., no doubt.
And then the other day against Colorado, Marquez threw the curveball that was like down in his shins, and he golfed it for a home run. I'm like, how do you hit these pitches?
And he's not that big of a guy, is he?
He just has a really nice swing, and his bat speed is incredibly impressive.
It's like Gary Sheffield bat speed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, unbelievable. And it's nice that he's a switch hitter. So, yeah.
I mean, it's nice that he's a switch hitter and that his stronger side's lefty because we need more left-handed bats.
Yeah, big time. So, yeah, I think that's what Andy Green was talking about when he wanted to get Naylor in the games more frequently because he wanted that balance in the outfield. You said that earlier in this podcast. So,
and I'm really glad that when Naylor came up after Reyes was traded, he's taken the opportunity and kind of run with it. I mean, it's still early, but I mean, what was he hitting? Like 220 under 220 when he got sent down? I mean, now he's up over 240.
How's Franmil doing? I know there's a lot of love for Franmil Reyes, but
I think some people on Padres Twitter are way over obsessed with the guy. I mean, he's a good dude. I understand he's a fun guy. He hits a lot of home runs, but can't play defense. He doesn't get hits when they matter, and he's gone off to a really slow start with Cleveland.
Because I saw at one point he was like 2 for 24.
Yeah, but then he got an RBI double. I think it was Friday against Minnesota, and then he hit a home run yesterday against Boston.
Good.
So he's starting to come around.
Good.
I mean, I'm rooting for the guy.
Yeah, of course.
Because I like the guy. I just don't understand the obsession why everyone was acting like we traded David Ortiz when we traded this guy. I saw people saying that. I'm like, are you serious? You're comparing a guy hitting 160 runners in scoring position to the best clutch hitter ever?
What's funny, I think as Padre fans, we're just so frustrated. We just want to win, and so we're jaded, we're bitter, we're cynical. Any deal that's made, there's more that people go, that's a crap deal. They want to criticize it because we've had so much bad luck.
I mean, but here's the thing, do you want to win games, or you don't win games with your emotions?
Right.
And the team looks better, and, they look more like an actual baseball team instead of just a home run derby lineup with Naylor's in there.
Yeah, Naylor's been all right. And he's a young kid, too. How old is he?
He's 22, I believe.
That's incredible.
He's younger than Reyes.
Yeah, Reyes was like 24, right?
Yeah, 20. Yeah, I think he was 24.
Yeah, it's amazing because usually, players don't come up out of the minor leagues until they're like 23, 24.
Yeah.
And so we've got all these guys that are way ahead of schedule.
I mean, Machado's only 26, and how long has he been in the league? Well, he's 27 now, but...
Yeah, but he was 19 when he started, wasn't he?
I think he had just turned 20 when Baltimore brought him up.
And Trout was 19, right?
Yeah, and Trout struggled as a 19-year-old, but he came up next year as a 20-year-old, and he tore it up, and has torn it up ever since.
Yeah, unbelievable, that guy.
Another thing about Reyes that people don't realize is that after the 2017 season, we left him off the 40-man roster, and nobody took him. Yeah. So it's like...
I remember that.
It's like... So this guy could have been taken by any of the other 29 teams in the Rule 5 draft just 2 years ago, less than 2 years ago, and he wasn't. And you guys are obsessing over him like we trade away, Trout, or we trade away Yelich. Chill.
Yeah, right. Well, these other GMs, they know their business too. And if none of them even took a flyer on the guy, I'm surprised. So...
I mean, there's some dumb front offices out there, but I mean, there's enough smart ones too that if they saw this guy available, they would have taken him.
So I know you've been traveling to a lot of different stadiums lately.
I mean, I've been to 2 new ones this year.
So tell me your experiences at those 2 stadiums.
Well, Coors Field, my sister goes to University of Denver, and she was doing some travel abroad stuff for summer. So we went out there. My parents were going to go out there and help her put her stuff in storage anyways. And then I'm like, hey, the Padres are playing the Rockies in Denver that week at Coors Field. So I'm like, I'm going to come too, and we're going to go to the Friday night game, which, of course, was the 11-5 comeback game that we won 16, 12, and 12. And it was just so incredible. All game long, people are celebrating around me. I'm like, oh, my God, why did I come all the way out here for this? Then we come back, and I'm celebrating, in a quiet, empty stadium. And I'm the only ones. My dad and I are, 2 of the only ones celebrating.
Nice.
And it's just, the greatest feeling ever. It's awesome. And then Wrigley Field, we had a recent New York and Chicago vacation. I've already been to both New York stadiums many years ago. Mm-hmm. And I got to go to Wrigley Field for the first time. And as a baseball history guy, that was just awesome to be there. The moment I stepped out onto the stepped into the Wrigley bleachers during batting practice, I felt like I was in a sacred place in baseball history. I was like, oh my God, I'm actually here at Wrigley Field.
It's like
in
a
the bleachers.
church, right?
Oh my God, yeah. You have no idea. And then it was just I'm here at Wrigley Field. I can't believe it. That was...
Well, I saw a picture that it was either you or your father had posted on social media, and you're right up against the net along the ivy.
Yeah.
Along the outfield walls.
Yeah, that was just unbelievable to see the basket and the ivy.
Yeah, the basket, exactly.
That was just it's such a big part of baseball history, and I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
I don't know why that basket's even there, but heck, it's part of baseball history. It's cool.
Yeah, it is. That is awesome.
Even if it's there for no reason, it's cool.
So when you were in Denver, I know they do the Rocky Mountain oysters. Did you have any of those?
No, I did not.
So what did you think of the just obviously the ballpark at Wrigley is wonderful, but what did you think of the rest of the stadium? Did it feel, when you're in the concourse, getting a drink or some food, did it feel really worn out and old? Because Dodger Stadium's kind of like that, I think.
I've been to Dodger Stadium. It was 9 years ago, but I have been to Dodger Stadium. Hopefully, I'll be back there next year for the All-Star game.
That's really the All-Stars there. Wow,
yeah, next year.
Okay, cool.
But Wrigley, it felt like they did a bunch of renovations on it, and it still has that old feel, it's historical, but it doesn't feel totally outdated at the same time. So that's really cool about it.
Nice.
And obviously the Wrigley faithful, they were great. They packed that place even when the Cubs were lovable losers for over a century. They were great.
So if you had to stack rank the best baseball stadiums in America that are still active right now, what are your top 3 or top 5?
Well, I've been to 12, and my ranking of those 12 would go Petco Park, I'm biased. I got to put that number 1.
Yeah.
Fenway probably second. I'd go Oriole Park third. That's a really nice one in Baltimore.
Camden Yards.
Oh, it's great there. And Baltimore fans are great, And then you go Wrigley. Then I'll probably go Coors Field, Yankee Stadium.
Have you been to San Francisco?
I have not.
Yeah, you got to go.
I've heard a lot of good things about that one.
I'm a native San Franciscan, and that stadium, the view just is unbelievable. With looking out over the bay. But I still believe that the physical stadium itself and the concourse, I think Petco is better.
Oh.
But if you mention that to a person from San Francisco, they give you the evil eye.
I mean, the view is a big, one of the things I love about Petco is from the 300 level, you can look out and you can see the whole city of San Diego,
Yeah.
And I love that. And PNC Park's in Pittsburgh's way up on my list. I mean, you can see, it feels like PNC Park's built into the city, and you can see the Clemente Bridge. Heinz Field's off in the distance.
Have you been there?
No, I haven't, but I've seen all the pictures.
Yeah, that's a must see. I've not gone, but that's one I want to go to.
The one that I've been to that I really don't like is the Oakland Coliseum. That's just like Oakland's Qualcomm.
Yeah. Well, at some point that's going to change. We'll see. Yeah. So, I've been to a number of stadiums as well. I think the ones you mentioned are right there. And you said you were in New York. Were you at Citi Field or at Shea?
Citi Field.
Okay. And then the newest Yankee or stadium? Or
I actually went to both the old and the new one.
Okay. Which one did you like better?
I like the old one better. I'm a big baseball history guy, and it felt like the new one was, catered too much to it was a really nice stadium, but it also felt a little too catered to the billionaires that live in Manhattan,
Yeah. It felt, we were there 7 years ago when we went to Yankee Stadium and to Fenway. And family had a great time at Fenway. It was just wonderful. But
Fenway's terrific.
The atmosphere.
I am one of the biggest people who are I can't stand Boston sports fans, but you have to respect how passionate, how loyal they are to that team year in and year out.
Yeah.
You can just feel it in every game, how into it they are. Even if they're, annoying and, racist and all that stuff, they're still, you have to give them credit for how passionate, how loyal they are to their Red Sox.
They are, yeah.
And all their sports teams, really, as much as we hate to admit it.
Yeah, unfortunately, because they always seem to have our number. But the Red Sox, you're right, it is almost religious for them. But we had a great time there. But when we were at the Yankee Stadium, like you said, it felt like catering to the billionaires. I thought it felt kind of sterile. Just very concrete and emotionless.
Well, the old one, there was a lot of emotion in that stadium. That stadium was intimidating for opposing teams, and now it's not to say Yankee fans aren't passionate, because of course they are, but that new stadium just doesn't seem like it holds the same kind of energy the old one did.
Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah, I've been to. Well, I grew up going to Candlestick Park. Now that was something to go there. We'd go on a night game in July or August and freeze our butt off.
In July and August.
Yeah, at Candlestick Park in San Francisco.
Was it just the wind chill, or what was the deal with it?
Well, it's like the old Mark Twain saying, the coldest winter I ever had was a summer in San Francisco. But it was the way when they built that stadium, the previous owner, Horace Stoneham, was kind of sold a bill of goods. They showed him the property.
Was that the guy who moved them from New York to San Francisco?
Yeah. Exactly. Baseball historian right there. And so when they showed him that property along the bay, they showed it to him during the middle of the day, at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and it's beautiful there. But in the evening, the wind patterns shift, the fog rolls in, and it's a friggin', it's windy like crazy there. And we had a lot of cold nights at Candlestick Park in the middle of the summer. It was crazy. So
yeah, even when I went to the Oakland Coliseum, it was pretty cold there.
Oh, yeah. It is. Well, it's right near the water, too. The Oakland Coliseum is really close to the bay. So it makes sense. All right. So you probably need to get running here to get to the game on time. You're not going to be able to go to batting practice then.
Well, we were never going to plan to go to that anyways. We usually go, but we weren't planning on it today anyways.
Do you... is it possible to go to the batting practices to every game? Do they open up the stadium in time? How does that work?
It's kind of complicated. Parkgate, they open 2.5 hours early, park in the park.
Yeah.
But you can only stand on, that little area in right center field on top of, how lower right center where the beach used to be is corporate stuff now, companies buy it and stuff. The only area you can be is up on top of that. And players do throw you balls there, but it's basically impossible for anyone to hit a ball up there. But players and coaches will throw you balls up there until the rest of the stadium opens 2 hours early for season ticket holders, which my father and I are, quarter season ticket. You know, we got Tuesdays and Saturday home games, and today's a Tuesday, so.
Right.
And it's an hour and a half for everybody else, which makes it hard. And Petco Park's hard enough for ball hockeying when there's not very many seats out in left field and everybody cramps into them. And then they don't open that early unless you're a season ticket holder. It's just.
Is it different than most of the other stadiums you've been to? Like can you get into Wrigley early to go to batting practice?
Wrigley's 2 hours for everybody. Oriole Park is, I believe that opens super early. But we got there kind of late for Oriole Park.
The policy's different. Every stadium's got their own thing.
I mean, some stadiums have it even worse than Petco, because I watched Zach Hampel, the famous ball hawk.
Yeah.
I actually met him last night. I got a selfie with him because he's here because he's trying to get a 50th anniversary ball.
Yeah, I saw a picture of him on Twitter. Someone had posted.
Oh, I posted one with him.
Maybe that's the one I saw.
Yeah.
Okay, so what makes that guy famous?
He's just caught a lot of famous balls. He caught the last ever Mets home run at Shea Stadium. He's from New York City.
Wow.
He caught Barry Bonds' 700 and something home run actually here at Petco Park.
Wow.
And now he does YouTube for it, and he has a cameraman, and he puts all the games he goes to on YouTube, and like people watch. Like I watch him to try and learn how to ball hawk myself, because ball hockeying's fun to me, but I'm not that good.
Well, what's the technique? I mean, you just got to be in the right place at the right time.
Well,
right?
Yeah, that is. It's actually it's a little bit of luck, but it's also a skill to like position yourself and obviously be able to catch the ball and have some athleticism. Like reach and run or.
So you got to. It's almost like Andy Green. You got to be able to play the shift, right? The tendencies of certain hitters.
Yeah, I mean, and I seem to have the worst luck with this because like I'll be in the lower deck in left field and watch one guy, blast ball second deck, and then I'm like, okay, next time he comes up, I'm going up to the second deck, and he doesn't put anything up there. So I kind of get unlucky with that.
Yeah, it's Murphy's Law right there.
I kind of get unlucky with that.
Well, back in the 1990s when Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa were going for the Maris's record, batting practice was a lot more of a free-for-all. And people would show up way in advance for that because that was a show when those guys were in town.
I mean, it's just like, the Yankees don't come here like almost ever because they're an American League team or a National League team. But, I mean, you got to see Judge and Stan and, Torres, Sanchez. You got to see those guys take VP. That's a show, too.
Oh, no doubt.
I mean, I wasn't – my dad and I have been going early games since 2009, and I – like became super, super, super into like getting balls and stuff about 2014, 2015. That's when I got super into like, okay, I'm going to get like 10 balls, like, or whatever. I've never done that. My most is in a regular season game is 6. But, I mean, but 2009 to like 13, I'm like, okay, we might show up early. And if we do, if I get a ball, cool. If not, whatever. But, late, the last couple of years, I've been like, I want to try and get as many as I can. I've become like a lot more into it instead of like, oh, whatever. If I catch one, cool.
So I've never gotten a foul ball ever at a stadium, and I
have gotten 160 something balls in my life, probably about, but never caught a foul ball in a game. Have one in-game home run, but it was in spring training. I didn't catch it on the fly, and I got one taken from me this year.
Taken?
Yeah, it was the game against Arizona in May when Hosmer hit the 2-run home run to our section, 126 by the Western Metal Supply. And the game-winning home run in the 6th inning, I had it. I reached for it in my glove. This guy hits my arm, knocks the ball out of my glove.
Oh, no way.
And then he pushes me the wrong way, so I can't pick up the ball.
Oh, jeez.
So, I mean, that was my first chance at catch a game home run on the fly. And first one...
You'll have more chances.
Yeah, I'm only 21 years old, so I sure hope I have more chances.
You'll have plenty more.
Heck, maybe Machado or Tatis will hit one my way tonight. You never know.
So your season seats, are they like beyond the left field wall? Is
Yeah,
that where they
126 row, I think 3.
So you're 3 rows from the
5
fence?
because it's 2, and then they have that wall where the fence used to be before they brought them in.
Okay.
And then those are like A, B, and then they have that wall 1, 2, 3.
Okay. So is that... Like if I'm looking at the field, is that directly behind where the left fielder would play, or is it more along the line?
It's more along the line. It's 126, so like 126 is here, and the Western Metal Building's like right here.
Okay, so really close.
Yeah, very close.
Because remember, it used to have like a little bit of a cutout down there at one point Maybe that was a few years back.
Yeah.
They've redone that outfield fence a few times.
Yeah, they actually had the lower part there, like right underneath the bottom of the building, like right down the line.
Yeah.
So like you have the lower part here, the Western metal here, and then the regular seats right here.
Okay. Well, good. Then I'm going to look for you.
Yeah.
Now I know where to look. So if when the balls are hit to left field, maybe I can get a glimpse of you.
I mean, you know what I'm wearing. You see it right here.
I know, exactly. Okay. David, this has been fantastic. I'm really enjoying this.
Oh, I'm enjoying every second of this.
Yeah. So let me tell you, you're always invited back. And we're going to do this again. And let's talk more Padres.
Absolutely. Anytime.
But I want to thank you for visiting and joining us here on episode 69 of the John Riley Project. Thanks very much, Guy.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Right on. Okay.
Enjoyed it a lot.